Johns Hopkins looks like. Web Spinner usually kind of a tip-off that it's towards the Beast side of things, but here's the thing. I've seen a lot of split decisions, and talking with some of the players that were at the studio earlier today, is Ram Wrangler good? Do you run one Ram Wrangler? Do you run two Ram Wranglers? How many Hound Masters do you run? Is piloted Shredder just better and you couple it with Leopard Gnomes? Like, there's a lot of different directions this deck can take right now. It's not like it was before where it was all the good 1-drops, all the solid 2-drops, and then you argued about which trap combination you wanted.
Yeah.
Now there's so much debate on what makes this deck actually the best one here.
Yeah, and this matchup is pretty close if you look at it. Hunter can be really strong against Druid if Druid misses on the early ramp.
Yeah.
Doesn't have tools to deal with those first couple creatures that you place down. But Druid also has a lot of tools to sort of fight back against Druid. They have the Keeper of the Grove that can deal with cards like Savannah Highmane. They have Force of Nature, which is a great way to deal with a Freezing Trap. And they can put the Hunter on a clock. You can be the aggressor in this matchup if you're the Druid. All of a sudden you get ramp. The Hunter misses some of their early drops. They just have double Web Spinner in the opening hand. All of a sudden, you can force the Hunter to be defensive. And then all of a sudden, you combo them out. You use Saboteur, you push that damage. And you can end up racing them in that situation. So I'd say this matchup is really close.
Yeah, this is a really interesting spot for Virginia. I feel like they have the kind of opening hand that can get past the early game without too much pressure being put on them. The problem I'm seeing right now is if this gets to a game where you're kind of fighting for that big 5- and 6-drop turn, Hunter's got some of the best ones. When you get a Ram Wrangler, you get a Savannah Highmane, those are some tough cards to fight against, especially if you had to use your removal early on to get to that point.
Yeah. Malorn.
Malorn actually kind of an interesting card in this matchup because something that Druids have to do in this matchup oftentimes is play Big Game Hunter in turn 3 and just use it to contest board pressure.
Yeah, use it to contest that Misha.
Yeah.
Something along those lines. And they don't often expect. Dr. Boom is a threat, but it's usually, if it's run at all, the only threat that's above 7 power, 7 attack in those mid-range Hunters. They do pick up a Shade, though. That is a better 3-drop most of the time to play in that situation. But still, you always got to worry about that Houndmaster. Animal Companion. And Ram Wrangler is an interesting card, especially in this matchup, because a lot of times you have a very high rate of success with the Ram Wrangler because of how many annoying beasts you have that you can put on the board. Sometimes you just ignore Web Spinner for a turn. You don't take it out. Sometimes Haunted Creeper is just too annoying for you to deal with, so you leave it alone. Ram Wrangler really punishes that.
Yeah, the interesting thing about Ram Wrangler is it's kind of a feast and famine card in its own right. You know, sometimes you get a poor beast off of it. Sometimes you get a game-crushing beast off of it, and your opponent just isn't coming back from the game.
I see what you did there.
Yeah, and Virginia is really fighting to make sure they keep beasts off the board, but they are not stopping anytime soon for Johns Hopkins. I'm feeling a Knife Juggler this turn.
Yeah. Knife Juggler. And...
oh, they're even going for the...
wow.
So this is the backup plan. I think if this fails, they're going to look at Freezing Trap. Wow, they get the juggle. Super important one. So now here's the thing. Now they can set the Freezing Trap, and it almost bluffs Snake Trap at this point, too. And so Virginia's going to have to be really careful how they navigate the situation. I mean, I can tell you on turn 5 what you don't want to be doing is having to kill a Web Spinner.
Yeah. Very true. And now Virginia has a couple options. Wrath and Hero Power removes the board, but then you're worried about Snake Trap. Keeper of the Grove. You can take out the Knife Juggler, leave something on the board, and that looks like going to be the play that they're going to go with. But then you don't have the Keeper to silence those Savannah Highmanes later on.
And I don't know how this Ram Wrangler is cashing in a Web Spinner to summon a big beast. I mean, maybe it's bait for him or something. He's like, yeah, I got to taste a little spider for you here. And he's like, what spider where? And he's like, hit him, Malfurion.
Hate to break it to you, Ram Wrangler, but there ain't no Rams here. See what we're going to get.
Well, Silverback Patriarch was enough to fight the world champion last year, but this is one of those beasts that's kind of a miss.
Yeah. Just a bit.
But, I mean, it's still got 4 power and 7 health worth of minions for 5 mana. Not the worst deal in the world.
It's a Fugan.
Kind of, yeah. Half of it's got taunt. Druid of the Claw likely to make some pretty darn good work of this board, but not at the moment. I think right now Virginia still has their sights set on keeping this board under control, which is, looking like Wrath, looking like Hero Power, maybe even a Darnassus Aspirant. Just stuff to check what's going on right now. And there's still that freezing trap on the board right now. Virginia doesn't know exactly what that trap is just yet, but they know that there's one there.
Yeah, so Johns Hopkins has not managed to put on much pressure. Whiffing with that Ram Wrangler, well, sort of whiffing with the Ram Wrangler, was a little bit of a big deal, but they've only put him down to 27. And, of course, as you go on in the game, the average value of those Druid cards that they're drawing is usually going to be higher than the average value of the card that a mid-range hunter is going to be drawing.
Big Shot's an interesting draw with a hand like this. Because on the one hand, you would love to save this to draw a card with it, but on the other hand, you may not even feel like you have that kind of time. That's a pretty good roll.
Yeah.
I could definitely see Quick Shot coming out this turn now.
Yeah, could force out the Quick Shot. You really don't want to let that Darnassus Aspirant be freezing trap.
You don't want to let either of these be freezing trapped, I think.
Yeah, that's very true.
Yeah.
Darnassus Aspirant, if it's freezing trapped, you basically don't get the death rattle of it. So you're giving them a free ramped mana. And it's eating up that freezing trap, so that's better than a Wild Growth.
Yeah, the bigger one is they're losing the freezing trap. That's really the big point of that. So
yeah,
figuring out how to navigate it through a situation where they don't lose too much in the process of doing this, in which they really don't. They have the Web Spinner refunding a beast. Unfortunately, they continue to get kind of mediocre beasts off of these cards. When I say kind of mediocre, what I actually mean is some of the worst ones you can get.
Yeah.
But, this is a 2-1 Wind Fury right now with that Leok on board.
You're getting in for the 4.
Here's the thing, if that lives, that's 4 points of damage the Web Spinner did. That's way better than a Leopard Gnome.
Yeah, Druid of the Claw is going to put a stop to that, but there's a Hunter's Mark.
Exactly. So, this is a situation where Virginia, once again, all the removal they've had have really been paying off for them. And having this big Game Hunter in hand is going to even pay off, which is so rare in this matchup. Yeah, Druid of the Claw. I think you're fine. I think you're just fine taunting it. And, if they have a kill command here, you're okay with it. Did eat up 5 points of damage. Oh, Nelly.
That's rough.
That actually could get big Game Huntered as well because there's the Leok on board. I think you got to go for the Malorn, though. Because here's the thing. The matchup is turned into a grind. Even if your opponent kills the Malorn, now there's just chances to draw it because it gets shuffled back into the deck. Instead of just outright getting exploded and crumbled into pieces and absorbed into the dust on the board.
Yeah.
He doesn't become dust in the wind like the rest of these minions.
No, Malorn is an interesting card. When it was first released, players were toying with the idea of putting it in like... I mean, I guess every expansion that's released, people are like, maybe we can play a slower hunter. Never happens, but people were toying with the idea of, like playing a hunter that really cycles through out of their deck and playing out the grindy game. Because eventually, if you play enough control cards, the hunter hero power will eventually end the game anyway.
It's also a druid card. So that could have been one of the reasons why you never really saw that deck come up too much.
You do get Mill Druid.
Yeah, Mill Druid is the one you're thinking about. I do remember Mill Druid.
Yeah.
What a beautiful animation it is, too.
I think I was thinking of Gazrilla.
You might have been.
I was looking at that card, I'm like, what are you talking about? It's going to go back into his deck.
You were thinking of Gazrilla. Absolutely, you were not thinking of Malorn.
That Control Warrior mirror just completely messed up my brain.
I can see it. The lights are on, but nobody's home.
Yeah. You can't even see my pupils right now. They just rolled back into my head because of that Control Warrior mirror. Well, University of Virginia is getting some pretty dud draws at the moment. That's a lot of spells in their hand. Yeah, they got the BGH to deal with this, but then they're going to have to deal with the High Man, and just a swipe and a Savage Roar is probably not going to be enough.
Well, they are going to have a better board position here. That's definitely something that's happening at the moment.
Yeah.
And they can even hang on. There it goes, right back into the deck.
Yep, not a Gazrilla. That's a Malorn.
And they're still facing down that freezing trap, too, so they're even going to have to wait another turn. That freezing trap has bought them so much extra health. But at the trade of a card, has that card been worth it? Wow. Heat for Johns Hopkins, turn after turn.
But is Virginia going to whiff for more turns? Because they've drawn into so many of those utility spells. And, I mean, like you said, they still have a relatively favorable board position. They need to get a good draw here. Some creature that's going to stick on the board, help them fight back. Ancient of War is exactly the card.
We've been seeing such incredible draws today.
Yeah.
This is Hearthstone.
That's Hearthstone.
Yeah. I love watching this happen. When players just have nothing left and they're like, oh, you know what? I'll just go ahead and draw the best card in my deck. Here you go.
And I think Ancient of Lore is actually the best card that they could have drawn in that situation.
Yeah, and they want to find out even. It's Freezing Trap first, so that's good news for them. Even have a second way. They actually have a way to kill the Dr. Boom now
and
because of that Freezing Trap.
Yeah, Johns Hopkins is probably a little bit disappointed that that thing goes back into the hand because that's going to be there for the Dr. Boom.
Yeah.
I mean, I think that might have been the turnaround. And look, picking up some more utility cards as well. Harrison Jones to get rid of some weapons. Plopping down the Shaded Next Rammus onto the board, and they're going to the Dome.
Kill Command and the Savannah Highmane can make work of most of this board. And even still, I even feel like even if the Dr. Boom gets big game 100 here, you're not that disappointed with it.
No.
Just because, again, it's just been the big grind battle at this point. The real thing that they're lamenting right now is that the other card in their hand is a Hunter's Mark, and they haven't been able to use it at all.
Well, Hunter's Mark is great in combination with Boombots, so that could be a thing. But, I mean, you look at that. All of a sudden, their hand's empty. They've expended a quick shot. A lot of times, mid-range Hunter usually sometimes runs one quick shot in the deck, so you don't have much cycle. You're running out of longevity. Really thinking it over.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out the absolute best way to get the most mileage out of these cards. Savannah Highmane is going to be a big difference here, too. I mean, Virginia does have ways to start contesting this, but again, if they're having to use their resources to contest leftover stuff, you guys are trading it all back and forth. So Savannah Highmane is going to be the last minion for them on the board right now. There is no trap available. The Freezing Trap was procced earlier.
Sludge Belcher's
these are some heat draws.
I mean, we saw so much of the early stuff drawn, like the utility spells, the swipes, the rats, the wild growths drawn early on for University of Virginia. So a lot of what's left remaining in their deck is decent-sized threats, like Sludge Belcher, like Powder Shredder, like that Ancient of Lore that we saw last turn.
I think they're really contemplating taking damage with their hero power here.
It's bold.
And then starting to run over the rest of this with Shade. Yeah. I think this is a good move, honestly. It's tough to pay 6 life to hit a minion, but in this position, you know, you got to make do with what you have. And so the Shade going to be able to pick up some extra value here. It's still not contested by anything.
Unleash doesn't do really much here. I mean, in combination with Hunter's Mark, yeah, it can be good, but only getting 2 Hounds. And once you push through that Belcher, still got to push through the slime that comes out after it, so I think Johns Hopkins is in a really rough position.
Yeah.
They're out of steam.
That Ancient of Lore really made a difference. Just digging those extra 2 cards in, finding them closer to these powerful mid-game threats, stuff like Sludge Belcher, and, you know, the extra, even just the extra piloted Shredders when you're down to nothing left.
Yeah.
It's a lot of damage very quickly.
Yeah. And they're going to think about it, and they're going to go ahead and use it. And probably just going to play the Dr. Boom here. They have to start fighting back for the board. They're not going to whittle them down with hero powers, especially since some of the burn that they have in the deck has already been used. The kill command, one of the kill commands, quick shot.
Yep, they're going for Dr. Boom. And they do have the board position right now, but this could very quickly change. Savage Roar is a dead draw, though. So we are looking at some potential to climb back into this. You know, say that Malorn gets drawn again.
That could be a big deal.
Yeah, even a second Savannah Highmane.
The Malorn,
even
which
just
is
their own piloted Shredder.
Malorn, which is a Druid card.
Yep.
Thank you very much. Yeah,
that's a Dr. Boom, big game hunter. That's not a beast.
All right, this draw is going to be big. Is that a Savannah Highmane? Yes, it is.
Shut up.
Wow.
Shut up.
And all of a sudden, this game just took a complete 180. That last turn was looking real grim for Johns Hopkins, knowing a BGH was sitting on the other side. Savannah Highmane coming off the top was probably the best thing that could have happened.
It's like on the top rope, man. It's like a steel chair. And like the wrestling match is just...
Yeah.
Where did it come from?
Yeah. Who put that steel chair there?
Well, he just drew it this turn. He draws a card every turn. It's a hunter. He needs it, so the hunter decks always give them exactly what they need, right?
Yeah, and with double Saboteur in the hand, University of Virginia is not going to be happy to see this. Ooh, yep.
Wow, that's a breathtaking one. There's so many draws in the deck that actually are not that impactful. Anything that costs like less than 4 mana. I'll tell you what, though, they can swing right back. Here's the thing: with those 2 Savage Roars in hand, they actually might have potential to start fighting back here if they just heal for 5. Or even if they drew 2 cards in the spot. I mean, they are facing down 10 points of damage. So drawing 2 cards and trying to find a force danger, they could still pressure their opponents out of the game. It's not completely over with yet. These guys are all smiles, but game's not done just yet. We got more draws to go.
Yeah. And these boombot hits could be pretty devastating as well.
The rope just coiled up on the left side of the board. He's like, all right, guys, come on. I'm ready to go.
I'm ready. Sup, I'm a rope. We'll see what they decide to go with. Drawing is very risky. Because like you said, you're staring at least 10 damage on the board right now. All of a sudden, 3 damage kills you. Well, I guess you could hero power as well, so that would take out the possibility of like Eagle Horn Bow or second quick shot.
Wow, they're going for the draws. TJ, that's 22 damage.
And they're going to the face.
Oh my gosh, this next draw for Johns Hopkins has to win them the game.
It's got to be a kill command. It's got to be a kill command. They need 4 damage or these boombots to hit.
They're going to have to risk boombots.
Oh my goodness. They are 1 damage off lethal with the damage they have on board. One of these boombots has to go face for 2 or more.
It's about nuance, precision.
Whoa! And Johns Hopkins, they're going to do the math, and they're going to realize they're going to come to the same conclusion we did. Here comes one. That didn't do it.
First one, no good. Now the Druid hero powers can even target things.
Yes, it can.
6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. They need this boombot to roll 3 points of damage to the face, or this game is ended.
Yeah, and they might not know that. They might say, well, we're assessing this. Let's just clear the board, stay out of range of 1 combo. I mean, it's so hard to make the read.
I think you go for it, TJ. I think you got to go for it.
This is...
Time is up.
They're trading.
That's it. Johns Hopkins has decided to take the defensive maneuver. Their chance to win has been reduced to 0.
Yeah, and Virginia's like, well, I'll take your Savannah Highmane and I'll raise you a Force of Nature Innervate double Savage Roar.
Yeah, brutal. That's the case. They even played around the combo. You know, props to them. I think this is a good spot to play around, honestly.
Yeah.
Like in hindsight, like this looks pretty darn good.
Yeah. All right, so both games so far in this series have been ended by Force of Nature double Savage Roar.
Wow, that is unbelievable.
Johns Hopkins, I'm sorry you can't shake your heads because you just did it. Oh, there we go.
Gentlemen.
Good game,
Doctor,
gentlemen.
Doctor. Great job. They can't even believe